Welcome everybody to the Off the Mic Wrestling Show here on YouTube, Monday Night Raw edition. Hope y'all enjoyed the show tonight. This was a great show. Really set the stage. A lot of key plot points. A lot of things moved things along to SummerSlam. I've said it before and I'll say it again. SmackDown desperately needs Roman Reigns back because there's been solid stuff, but there's not a big, real hook to watch SmackDown. The Bloodline, it's like, we're really just biding our time. But there's a lot of good stuff, and I think it helps that Raw is an extra an hour long. There's a lot of star power over there. Obviously, CM Punk, the element of him being cleared, we'll talk about that on the show. But really, I want to start with this because I think one of the stories of the last couple weeks for Raw has been the build to this World Heavyweight title match between Gunther and Damian Priest. Because there was no steam behind this after Money in the Bank. None. Everybody was shocked that Damian Priest won and he was going to get the match against Gunther at SummerSlam. And since the minute that this match happened and was set up, you had a week to set up Gunther's return. Gunther was cutting like these really neat little video packages that have really hyped up how he's better than everybody else. But then he's just talking down to Damian Priest. You feel sympathy for Damian Priest, and this has been so wonderfully built up. Last week's promo had a ton of heat. And then this week, Gunther just lays in. He basically is like waiting for the crowd to pipe down in Green Bay. And he basically goes, yeah, I meant every word that I said last week. And everyone in here's a bum. And Damian Priest doesn't live up to being a world champion. The sob story doesn't cover up for the fact that he's a pretender and a wannabe. Calls the whole Judgment Day street trash. And then Damian's music hits. He comes out like a house of fire, has a mic in his hands, literally is about to say something, and just comes over and starts beating Gunther up. And then you get a great, just like I love, especially when it's heat filled, a great pull apart brawl. And this was a great one where you had multiple security guard geeks come out, and you had multiple just producers come out and break this thing up. And we go immediately to break. So then we come out of break and we go toss it back to Jackie Redmond. It's Gunther pacing right behind him. And then you see Damian come running into the shot and just start laying a couple more licks, throwing him into road cases. Like they threw him into, I think they might have thrown him into a dumpster or something, like something metal. And it sounded like it hurt. This was fantastic. This was the best thing that I can say about what Raw has been able to do since Money in the Bank is they have made us care about a world heavyweight title feud. I mean, and you know what? Maybe that's a product of the fact that, hey, Damian Priest really hasn't done it, and he's kind of been positioned as like an afterthought and has almost felt like it. But they have done a really good job of making everybody care and want to root for him to kick Gunther's ass to SummerSlam. That being said, I think Gunther's going to win, and Gunther's been really built up well as this pompous, arrogant, foreign heel, not really tapping into the foreign side of it, but like he's like, I'm better than you. You're trash. I'm gonna beat you. You're living out your childhood dream. This is a job for me. I'm about restoring the sacred, the mat and everything, and then what makes this our great sport. So, but yeah, like I said, 2 weeks ago, coming out of Money Bank, I did not give two shits about this match. I did not care. And it's not to say that I don't like these two guys. I think they were going to put on a fantastic wrestling match and it was going to be fine. But now you've got a legitimate story to this thing. These guys don't like each other. You have a legitimate brawl that happens. And it feels real. And this is exactly the Triple H type of feud. He's got two of his guys that I think are going to put on a show. And I'll be honest with you, I think this should open the show. You should open the show with the title change. Damian Priest going up against Gunther for the World Heavyweight title. This is going to be a fantastic match. And like I said, the added bit of storytelling to this and, you know, playing into like making it a clear, definitive line. Because that was a big problem, too, going into this. These guys were both kind of really heel. Damian was kind of a tweener, but he was more of a heel with Judgment Day. But he's kind of been distancing himself. But now you get the clear lines that are drawn. Damian hates Gunther. Gunther hates Damian. It's just going to be a straight wrestling match, babyface heel, and we'll see if there's shenanigans involved. But this was awesome. This was fantastic. Great opening segment. Great opening two segments, really. Then we go into what I thought was hands down the match of the night. Ilya Dragunov versus Braun Breaker. Winner gets an Intercontinental title match against Sami Zayn at SummerSlam. Um, really, I mean, some Ilya Dragunov is just a fantastic salesman. Also, he is just a tough SOB. This guy for 200 pounds just hits you so effing hard. It makes you feel it through the screen. So, I mean, there was a spot early on in this match where it looks like Ilya and Braun are both trying to go for a superplex to the outside. Braun then lifts Ilya up and plants him ribs first on top of the ring post. It looked like it hurt like an effing bitch, and it's like, oh my goodness, it was just these guys' styles just work perfectly. You've got the powerhouse, and then you've got the resilient, like, striker, powerhouse, babyface, and Ilya Dragunov. These styles work so well. You could see why these guys work so well together back in NXT and even on the main roster. It's just these guys are like a match made in heaven. I hope they fight forever, to quote a lot of wrestling fans. So then Braun basically works the midsection for a lot of this match. Ilya then gets a power bomb and then a DDT to start up his comeback. Ilya then hits. Ilya actually countered a powerbomb into a DDT to start his comeback. Ilya then hits a powerbomb of his own and just falls straight into the cover for a 2. Braun then does his sick-looking power top rope Frankensteiner that he scales the ropes and makes it look so effortless for a 250-pound man, which is just insane. Ilya then gets a top rope superplex into an H-bomb, but he can't get the cover there. Ilya then hits a Death Valley driver on the apron. As I say to my sister, that's the hardest part of the ring. Like, holy crap. So then the spot of the match and the finish is just ballsy, and like I loved it because it protected everybody here. Ilya goes for an H-bomb on the floor. Braun hits him with the spear. The spear and the force of it forces the back of Ilya's head and neck to hit the LED wall on the side of the ring. And the ref just calls for the bell and calls a ref stoppage. You never see that. This was the perfect time to use it. It puts over Braun as this, just absolute stone cold killer. It puts over Ilya as this guy who will not go down unless the match is stopped. This protected both guys. Ilya's going to be fine. But more importantly, this is about Braun Breaker getting that second opportunity, which I've been saying for a couple weeks. All y'all have been, freaking out about this and saying, oh, what's going on with Braun Breaker? Why would he lose? This is why. He's killing people. And at the end, case in point, the end of the show, we'll talk about it. It's like he's just killing people and just go running through everybody to get to the Intercontinental title. Just be this absolute maniac monster who's going to start a monster reign as the champion, as the Intercontinental. I think he's going to win the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam. But man, this was awesome. This was a banger of all bangers. One of the better TV matches I've seen all year. I'm not surprised. These two work fantastic together. We get a Judgment Day promo backstage, basically wondering what the hell is going on with it looks like Judgment Day is back together. Dom is concerned about Jey Uso, and it's just like a lot of weird stuff. Like, the Judgment Day has been running over this show, and Rhea Ripley, once again, I've sang her praises just all over this place. Then we get Lyra Valkyria versus Sonya Deville. Nice to see Sonya Deville getting a couple of W's. She was not booked well before her injury. She did win a tag team championship alongside Chelsea Green, ironically, before she went out the door. But she's got I think that's back-to-back singles wins that she's gotten. Granted, it is by shenanigans. I don't think this hurt Lyra Valkyria at all. There was a lot of Lyra went up top near the end of this match, got thrown off the top by Zoe when the ref was distracted. There's just a bunch of chaos involving the party girls, as I like to call them, are down there at ringside, Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. And amidst all this chaos with Lyra trying to get rid of Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler at ringside, Sonya hits what she now calls Deville's Advocate for 3. That's a nice looking name, or a good looking name for her finish. Like I said, back-to-back weeks for Sonya Deville getting singles wins. Granted, it's by shenanigans, but still, she's starting to matter again, and she should matter. She's fantastic. I love that they're really making this Sonya, Zoe, and Shayna stable look like a thing. Like, they had an interaction with the women's tag team champions. They're trying to make something of this group, and I actually think it's great. These are 3 really underutilized talents who I think if you put them together can really get over with the crowd, because Shayna's always been like believable. Zoe's never really gotten there on the main roster outside of the Trish Stratus stuff. So, and bringing in Sonya Deville, who a lot of people really like. She's just never been really taken seriously outside of being an authority figure. And then there was the Mandy Rose stuff in COVID that she did. But like I said, nice to see her get a W here. Wyatt Six, it's a really quick video thing. Really quick video with Nikki Cross just yelling and screaming. There's not really much of an explanation, but this was simple and effective. Okay, we're still there. It makes you want more. So, and there's going to be more to this later on in the show. But that was nonetheless very interesting. Then we get the CM Punk promo. CM Punk out in the ring, announces he's officially cleared. It's happening. He wants to fight Drew McIntyre, calls out Drew. Punk then tries to go after Drew because Drew just says, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to do this, because Drew shook hands with Adam Pearce before this segment happened because he knew, hey, we're getting a match at SummerSlam. I don't want to mess it up with you, so I'm not going to get involved. So Punk tries to go at McIntyre. Security is holding him back, preventing him from going after Drew. And then Pierce points out, yeah, the reason Drew's not going after you is we're getting this match officially at SummerSlam. It is official, but if either one of you lay a finger on the other, match is off and the perpetrator is suspended indefinitely. Pierce then also points out, yeah, we have a referee problem, which we've known. A lot of the referees do not like Drew, hence his attacks on them in recent weeks. And out comes Seth freaking Rollins. And Seth says, yeah, I'm not a problem guy. I'm a solution guy. And he says, I know a guy who thrives on chaos and can put both of you idiots in your place. I'm going to be the special guest referee at SummerSlam. So a la 1997 SummerSlam, Bret Hart versus The Undertaker when Shawn Michaels was the referee. Seth Rollins will be the referee for this match. A lot of people are not going to be happy that this is going to be a straight match. Guys, it's SummerSlam. Screwy stuff happens all over this show notoriously in its history. And to be honest with you, we need a pathway for some way for Seth to get to CM Punk at some point. I'm not leaving off the table that this is a straight call and maybe a normal referee counts the three, or maybe, Seth calls it down the middle and it happens one way or the other. I don't know if there's necessarily going to be a screw job here. Like, it might be, Drew wins clean and Seth counts it. And then that's what Punk gets mad about. Listen, Seth is such an over babyface and such a beloved character that I don't know if they necessarily need to turn him heel to get to where they want to go. I could see this going a lot of different directions. So the interesting variable of Seth being there adds to also the unpredictability in general of this match, because I have no idea who's going to win this. I think it should be Drew based off the way the story has been told, but it's also CM Punk's first singles match in a year. It's his first singles match in a year because he had the match at All in London almost a calendar year ago. Then he was out, he got suspended, he got fired. And then he heads to the other company and he only has the Royal Rumble match. So I don't know which way this match is going to go, but it's nonetheless going to be very intriguing. And I don't hate the idea of Seth Rollins being involved in this, because he's obviously got a natural reason to be involved in this either way. There's a ref controversy, obviously, with Drew, and obviously maybe they're playing up that the refs are kind of going on strike effectively for this match. But nonetheless, I actually kind of like where this is going. And CM Punk's officially cleared. It's happening a week from Saturday at SummerSlam. So this is great. Then we get Dom backstage with the Judgment Day. Actually, it's him and Finn. And so they're walking around looking for Jey Uso based off because they wanted to try and end this Jey Uso thing because Jay's smitten with Rhea and all that, and they're just trying to end this. And so looking around for Jay, Dom sees Liv. Liv is wearing these really high up booty shorts that broke the internet. I swear to God, if you are a teenage boy, I feel sorry for you in trying to watch this, because my goodness, this is like all the elements of the Attitude Era about 25 years ago that just made a lot of adults not want their kids to watch pro wrestling, because this is the type of stuff. It's edgy, it's crazy, it's over the lines in some respects. But yeah, Liv just wearing this provocative clothing. Rhea, we'll talk about the segment later on in the show. But yeah, the internet literally was losing its mind over what Liv was wearing. Uh, and so Dom's just like, leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me alone. I'm going to leave. And Finn's like, man, dude, I left you alone for 10 seconds. What the hell are you doing? Now you're talking to Liv. This is all a red herring. I'll explain later on. So then we get Sami Zayn cutting a promo backstage. Um, he says he's asked about Braun Breaker. He says he's taking him seriously, and he says he hopes Braun doesn't make the same mistake twice in underestimating me. And then all of a sudden he hears a commotion down the way. We follow the shot. It goes over. It's the Judgment Day getting one up on Jey Uso. In comes the older brother Zeus with Sami Zayn fighting off the Judgment Day and breaking up the fight there, which sets the stage for the main event later in the show. Then we get a 6-man tag. It's Otis and Akira Tozawa. Happy birthday, Akira Tozawa. He's 39 years old. Big birthday day in the world of WWE. Happy birthday to Shawn Michaels, by the way. That's awesome, too. So Otis, the birthday boy, Otis, the hometown boy from Wisconsin, along with Tozawa and Xavier Woods against the Final Testament. Tozawa got some good work in. I mean, Karrion Kross looked like a powerhouse in this match. Really, Otis gets the hot tag. So after Tozawa sidestep Kross, there's a caterpillar to Akam. Kross then gets in, and Woods, and so he gets in, and then Woods gets a blind tag. There's a wild brawl near the end of this involving all 6 combatants, and then Kross is able to get the finish. I think it's called the final prayer, where it's like a pump handle into like an F5 for 3, and so the heels get the win. I've talked with my sister about this. Listen, Karrion Kross is fine. He's got an interesting dark element to it, but the Final Testament, it's not working. It's just not working. Nobody is caring about this. Like, they were in France a couple of months ago for Backlash. Dead silent. Loudest crowd maybe I've ever heard. Dead silent for the Final Testament. And it's like, it's not like these guys aren't trying hard. It's just like there's no interest level in these guys. And it sucks because, I mean, you've got 3 really big, intimidating guys. Paul Ellering's a great manager. Scarlett's got a lot of intrigue to her with being a beautiful woman and you know, the dark, mysterious stuff about that. But it's just like, this is not working. And I like the angle that they're trying to play up with the New Day and trying to break them up. But we know that's not going to happen. So Xavier Woods is going to end up facing Karrion Kross next week, and we'll see where that goes. But that's neither here nor there. What comes out of this is what's even more interesting, because Chad Gable, the old Alpha Academy music hits, he comes out with the Creeds going to break. So then it's this promo. Chad is taunting Otis about losing and just like not being a great leader, explains why he recruited the Creeds. And then he tries to get the old Alpha Academy band back together. Otis tells him his answer is no. Chad basically tells the Creeds to get him. They attack Otis and Tozawa. I was a little surprised Maxine gets out of the ring and there's no mention of Ivy Nile. At some point, Ivy Nile, I think, is going to align with the Creeds in this heel stable that they're starting to form. So that was a little bit of a quibble here, but still. So the Creeds are about to attack Otis with chairs, and lights go out. Wyatt Six is there. Everybody is on top of the ramp except for Uncle Howdy. Uncle Howdy sneaks up from behind on Chad Gable, hits the Sister Abigail. The crowd's going nuts for this. Yeah, they haven't wrestled yet, but that was a powerful, quick bit of storytelling. This was effective. Sometimes you don't need that much to do. This was simple and effective, and it got the job done. Seeing Bo Dallas as Uncle Howdy hit his brother's old move, honestly, makes you a little bit emotional. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, so this was a great segment. It wasn't much, but it got the job done. Bronson and Pete Dunne was supposed to happen next, but it never happened. Sheamus just attacks Pete Dunne before the bell. He then brawls with Reed, does the 10 beats of the Baldwin to Pete, goes for the brogue kick on Pete, but Dunne avoids, and then he hits it on Bronson. That's the end of the segment. Then we get a Judgment Day promo. Finn basically says, hey, he talked to Adam Pearce. It's going to be Finn and JD versus Jay and Sammy in the main event tonight. Also says he's going to teach Gunther a lesson next week. Rhea then asks what the hell happened. She said, why were you guys going after Jay? I told you not to put your hands on Jay. And then Rhea finds out that Liv was involved in all of this, and she's like, okay, we're going to the ring right now. Sheamus then had a conversation with Jackie Redmond about like, okay, hey, I don't understand why Pete Dunne's got a problem with me, but we could either throw back a couple of pints or we can do it in the ring and have another banger after banger. So it's just, um, I actually kind of like this mid card stuff with what they're doing with Sheamus. Just have him go up against the guys and just beat people up and just do what he does best. This is fine. So then we get to the ring. It's Rhea. It's the segment that really everybody is talking about from tonight's show. So Rhea basically brings out Dom as bait. Basically calls Liv out, says, "You want him? Come get him." Liv is in the stands. She says she can't wait for SummerSlam. She can wait for SummerSlam, and she came out because she has feelings for Dom. Liv says, "Gorgeous men don't go for girls like Rhea, but girls like Liv." And she does this twirl. And I swear to God, probably every teenage guy just like lost it. And some grown men too. Mind you, a lot of the grown men watching the show probably have wives and kids. So guys, just calm down. This is television. This is a character. So Rhea is then tries to leave, but Dom is the one holding her back. Dom says, "I'll take care of it." Basically, Dom says, and here's the direct quote, and I give him credit for this, but this is all a red herring. I'll explain why in a second. "I hate you, Liv. Are you stupid? Are you deaf? I don't like you. You've ruined my life over and over again. I can't stand you. You've ruined everything for me." He starts cursing in Spanish. It was not what I expected, but here's and Liv goes away crying. She's upset. Rhea then licks Dom's face. If I'm Dom Mysterio, he's got to be the luckiest guy on God's green earth. What in the world? This guy's a nerd-eating chicken McNuggets. What are we doing? I can see why people despise him. He's got this dirty Sanchez mustache. Like, what the hell? But in the end, my point is, this leads into the match at SummerSlam between Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan for the Women's World Title. I think that this is all a red herring. I think Dom is going to turn on Rhea, and he's going to align with Liv. It's going to be this big heel turn. Rhea's going to be this massive baby face coming out of this. Even though she's already over like hell, nobody cares. They're still cheering her. She gets one of the biggest pops of anybody in the company. So Dom being in the middle of this is just weird. But you know what? It makes it like if he turns on Rhea, he's going to get the most heat maybe of anybody in the company. But then he's going to align with Liv, and some guys are going to be like, "You suck there, man. You're getting her in her skimpy ass clothing." Like, my goodness, like this. I swear to God, that match at SummerSlam, depending on how things go in it, might break the internet. It might break the internet because Liv is breaking the internet. Rhea breaks the internet on a daily basis with her Instagram posts. My sister looked at me today, showed me a picture of Rhea saying she's ridiculous. I'm like, yeah, she is. I've talked about it. There is nobody like Rhea Ripley. Nobody like Rhea Ripley in the world of professional wrestling. Then we get a Zelina Vega promo. So she talks out on the stage, basically like, "No one can keep me down. It's time to shut people up." And it sets up her match against Zoe Stark. This had a very chaotic finish. Zelina sets up for the 619, but Sonya Deville is out there distracting the ref. Shayna then trips up Zelina. But then the baby faces from earlier in the night, Lyra, Kaden, and Katana run in. Zelina then uses the brace, which is on her arm. She's selling the arm from the 1 minute match that she had last week to get the upper hand. She hits her code red, and it's a 3 count. And Zelina Vega, who a lot of people were complaining about, saying, let's free Zelina or push Zelina. Zelina gets a nice little win here. Good for her. She's fantastic. She's done a really good job on her solo role, minus the LWO. So, yeah, that's great. As I mentioned, Xavier Woods with Adam Pearce challenges Karrion Kross next week. Right out of that, he's talking to Adam Pearce, and right out of that, you get Drew McIntyre confronting Adam Pearce saying, what the hell is going on about Seth being the referee? Pearce says Rollins going to give his referee instructions next week to both him and CM Punk, so we'll see how that goes. Then you get Alba Fire and Isla Dawn talking about Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. They're confronted by Zoe, Shayna, and Sonya Deville. So this was fine. Like I said, they're establishing this faction like it's going to be a big deal. I can't imagine Alba and Isla are going to hold the titles for very much longer. It's going to go back to Jade and Bianca. And then I think you really set yourself up for an interesting feud between those two and however they want to frame Zoe, Shayna, and Sonya as a group. Maybe you bring in Naomi as a potential for a sixth woman. That would be interesting too. But yeah, this, like I said, the stuff they did with the women's division was outside of Rhea and Liv was actually really good tonight. It was a lot of interwoven storylines using a lot of the the lower the mid card women very effectively on this show. Then Gunther hype promo. These have been great. Like they're filmed like basically move like in Hollywood cinematic format, hyping up Gunther as this heel who just doesn't give an F and he's like over, and he really just wants to establish dominance, and this has been perfect. Like I love the way that they've been building this feud, and then we get the main event: Sammy and Jay versus Finn and JD. This was a wild tag team match, really a lot of crazy stuff near the. So there's a blind tag near the end, and Jay and Sammy hit the 1D. They dusted off the 1D, which means you know what's happening. The Usos are coming back. They're going to reunite very soon. But Finn Balor's able to break that up. Balor then goes for his corner drop kick, gets hit by a super kick. There's some shenanigans. Then Finn gets the corner drop kick, gets the coup de grace. We get a moonsault from JD. That gets two because Sammy's able to break up the 3 count. Sammy then goes for the haluva kick in the corner and then gets a dive to the outside. Jay hits the Usos splash for the win, and that's the show. And basically now you've got Sammy and Jay now have the stakes to a World Tag Team title shot, which is very interesting that they're aligning them together. I think the pieces are coming together for the OG bloodline to come back together. I don't think it's going to start coming into full motion based off the way that they've been telling things, and now you have Sammy and Jay now having a tag team title shot on Raw. I think Roman's going to be the first one to come back, and then from there, it's going to start piecing itself together. Again, I think the logical way to reunite the Usos is Jay is in peril, and Jimmy comes back, and then they maybe tease it for a little bit and realign everything. But the way that this is setting up is it's going to be War Games, it's going to be Roman, it's going to be Jay, it's going to be Jimmy, and Sammy versus the new Bloodline 2.0, Solo, Jacob Fatu, and Gorillas of Destiny, Tongaloa, and Tamatonga. So we'll see how this all sets its way down the line for Survivor Series later in the year. And then the show ends with Braun Breaker sneaking up from behind with a spear. And for the second straight week, it's Braun Breaker ending the show. Second consecutive week, ending with a big moment for him. They clearly see something for him. And I know a lot of people have been concerned about Braun Breaker, but let's get real. Braun Breaker's winning the Intercontinental title at SummerSlam. Sammy's already teaming and going to potentially get a World Tag Team title shot. They're already setting up the next pathway. You see where this is going. I wouldn't be concerned one bit about this moving forward. But, yeah, all in all, Raw is just a vastly better show right now. Vastly better. And it's, it really is, it really is amazing to see, like, the way it's kind of shifted. Like, SmackDown used to be the A show, and ever since Roman left, and like Cody's been fine, but it's just like the bloodline stuff has gotten repetitive. There's a lot of just new developing angles on Raw. They've even made the World Heavyweight title match that didn't have any juice to it 2 weeks ago interesting. Like, Raw's just better right now. It's just better. And we'll see what happens coming out of SummerSlam when Roman does come back, how that's going to energize SmackDown. Because, mind you, a month after that, SmackDown's going back to USA, and they're off Fox. So you're already starting to see the pieces come together where Raw is clearly the A show. They're going to go to Netflix at the start of next year, and it's just going to be way different. We're going to go back to the days of when Raw was really the A show. It hasn't been treated that way, but it's become that way. One more thing that I need to address here. I typically like to tie up loose ends with a couple storylines that I've seen on the internet. It looks like Bobby Lashley is going to be leaving WWE. His contract comes up in about a month, maybe in a few weeks. A lot of people are just making this about racism and that Triple H just doesn't know how to book black talent or whatever. I think that's a bunch of nonsense. Like, listen, Bobby Lashley's a former WWE champion. I'm not saying he's a Hall of Fame level guy, but he's had a damn good career since he returned to WWE. He returned to WWE, I think, it had to have been about 2018. He's been back for 6 years. He won the WWE title twice. Yes, the second one ended really weirdly. It was just an odd build. He made himself an over babyface. They got really mixed up in the cross between Triple H and Vince McMahon in their crossover. By the way, happy 2-year anniversary, y'all, to when Vince McMahon retired from WWE. It's hard to believe that's been 2 years since the course of professional wrestling really changed. But yeah, listen, like Bobby Lashley, and I don't like going down the end of like racial tension in the terms of wrestling booking. It just didn't work out. This wasn't like a racial thing. This wasn't like Triple H hates Bobby Lashley. Also, the reality of the situation, as good a shape as Bobby Lashley is in, Bobby Lashley's almost 50. And I'm not trying to say that that's a bad thing, but you've already seen it countless amounts of times with the way WWE has kind of shifted away from the Vince McMahon model of these big buff guys who are later on in their careers, like a Goldberg. And I'm not saying Bobby Lashley is better than Goldberg or even a Brock. He's more in a vein of like a Brock Lesnar, but Bobby works a lot more. But the older guys who are bigger and aren't as big on work rate are not being utilized as much anymore. You see it with Edge. Edge went over to AEW. And so you look at the way that they're booking, like you've got bigger guys, but look at who ended the show the last couple weeks. Braun Breaker's in his mid-20s. You've got Ilya Dragunov, who's an early 30s guy. Seth Rollins is mid-30s. You're building up these young, talented stars who have storylines attached to them, can work matches. And I'm not saying, and Bobby, like, the problem is there hasn't been really much to hook him in on. He had the Karrion Kross thing and like the Final Testament thing. They got a WrestleMania match. They haven't done anything since then. And it sucks because the Street Profits have been put in on this, but it just hasn't worked out. So if he decides to leave and if MVP decides to leave, I don't think it's like anything, like really scandalous or anything like that. I think it doesn't work out. That's just the reality of the way things are. So please stop trying to create narratives that just don't exist. So anyway, that's my Raw recap. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. Follow me at OT Mike Wrestling on YouTube here and also on Twitter. Also follow me, my personal account at Off the Mic 28. We'll be doing a lot of fun stuff throughout the week. I'll talk to you guys real soon. Bye-bye.